What happens when your own staff treats you like you don't matter because they don't know who you are? Xavier Flint leaned against the hood of his rental car, watching the storefront through tinted sunglasses. 11 stores. He'd built this retail chain from the ground up, starting with one tiny location in Omaha and a dream to make affordable, stylish clothing available to everyone. But lately, something was off. Complaints weren't flooding and they were trickling, but they all had the same tone, didn't feel welcome. Staff didn't even greet me. Made me feel like I shouldn't be there. Not enough to set off alarms, but enough to make Xavier restless. Especially when the complaints were coming from people using coupons or shopping clearance racks. He didn't want filtered feedback, he wanted the truth. So he shaved the beard he'd been growing for 5 months, covered the tattoo on his forearm with makeup, and wore a faded hoodie and jeans that didn't fit quite right. No one in this particular store 6, located in a mid-sized town outside of Denver, had ever met him. Most had only seen his face once in a training video 5 years ago. And with the company now bigger than ever, most thought the founder had long since retired or sold it off. Xavier walked through the sliding doors. The place looked clean, organized. The music was upbeat. A young woman at the register was chewing gum and scrolling her phone. She didn't look up. He wandered toward the men's section, grabbing a clearance jacket with a red tag, 50% off. He held it up, pretending to check stitching, then glanced around. No one approached. A man in a sleek black polo name tag, Elliot, manager, stood near the fitting rooms, talking to a tall, slim woman. They were laughing quietly, throwing glances toward a middle-aged woman with a cart full of marked-down items. The woman looked uncomfortable, her eyes darting. Xavier drifted closer. "I swear, they come in here thinking a coupon makes them royalty," Elliot muttered. The woman next to him chuckled. "She's been here for almost an hour. She's gonna argue every price." "Let her. I'm not wasting time on people who spend $20 and want the world for it." Xavier's jaw clenched. An older man in a faded vest name tag said Carl was helping an older couple in the back. He was kneeling, showing them shoes from the bottom shelf, listening carefully. Xavier nodded to himself and turned toward the jackets again. "Sir." A voice behind him, not Elliot, not the gum-chewing cashier. It was a girl maybe 19 in a blue apron instead of black. Her name badge read Chloe. "Sorry to bother you, just wanted to let you know we're running a promo on those jackets. If you find 2 clearance items, the second's 70% off. Want help finding one your size?" He blinked. Yeah, actually, I'd appreciate that." Chloe smiled a little shy. "No problem. I'll grab a few options you want, casual or something more dressy." "Casual's good," he said. She moved fast, rifling through racks, pulling pieces and checking tags. "This one's got reinforced seams, good if you're rough on your clothes. And this one's water-resistant." Xavier looked at her. "You always help customers like this." She gave a small shrug. "Try. My dad used to say, treat everyone like they might own the place. You never know who you're talking to." He smiled tightly. "That's good advice." Chloe helped him to a fitting room and then returned a few minutes later with another jacket he hadn't asked for. "This one just got marked down. You said you liked casual." He tried it on, perfect fit. As he walked back out, he spotted Elliot standing near the cash register, arms crossed, watching the clearance shopper from earlier unload her cart. The cashier still hadn't looked up from her phone. "I'm not ringing her up," Elliot said sharply. "Carmen, you do it." Carmen, the woman Elliot had been laughing with, sighed loudly. "Ugh, fine." Chloe stepped in before Carmen could reach the counter. "I got it." Elliot stared. "You're not even on register today." Chloe kept her tone even. "She's been waiting a while. I don't mind." Xavier stood back, watching. The older woman smiled gratefully at Chloe as she scanned each item with care, double-checked discounts, and even offered to help her load her bags. Elliot turned and muttered to Carmen, "She's wasting her time. That lady probably won't even come back." Xavier walked outside with his bag and sat in the car, watching the automatic doors open and close. He felt his stomach twist. He'd built this company for people like that shopper. People who counted every dollar, who waited for sales, who used coupons because they needed them. And now, his own staff was mocking them. He tightened his grip on the steering wheel. He wasn't ready to blow his cover yet. One visit wasn't enough. Tomorrow, he'd go to store 3, and then store 9. He wanted to see if this was a one-off or something worse. But one thing was already clear. Chloe was a gem, and Elliot. Elliot had no idea who he'd just insulted. The next morning, Xavier stood in the parking lot of store 3, this time in a faded denim jacket and a baseball cap pulled low. A clipboard tucked under his arm, he posed as a secret shopper, an internal role the company rarely used anymore, but one that wouldn't raise too many questions if someone asked. He stepped inside at exactly 9:30, scanning the floor layout. It was a larger location than store 6, with wider aisles and a more open floor plan. The lighting buzzed overhead, one bulb flickering near the front end. A couple of customers wandered through the home goods section, but the place felt too quiet for mid-morning. A young man with untied sneakers rushed past Xavier, nearly colliding with a display table of folded hoodies. He didn't apologize. He just kept moving, pushing a cart half filled with clothing returns. His name tag read Jalen. Xavier followed him discreetly toward the stockroom door, watching as Jalen shoved the cart inside, knocking over a small box of hangers. He didn't stop to pick it up. A woman's voice shouted from the back. "Jalen, you left recovery half done again. You were supposed to finish the kids section before break." Jalen didn't answer. He turned his back and pulled out his phone. Xavier moved toward the customer service desk. A woman stood behind it, rearranging signage. She noticed him and offered a quick nod but didn't speak. Her badge read, Rita asked, "Manager." "Excuse me," Xavier said, still in character. "I was told this location has a clearance fixture for seasonal items." Rita barely looked up, back corner by the restrooms. "Thanks. Also, is your manager on duty today?" "He's out, family emergency." She returned to her signs. "I'm acting manager today." Xavier studied her for a moment. Her tone wasn't unfriendly, just tired. Her hair was pulled back loosely, and she had a notepad sticking out of her back pocket, scribbled with crossed-out tasks. He nodded and moved on. Near the back of the store, he spotted a young woman crouched under a table, folding stacks of toddler pants. She was moving quickly, her hands practiced. Her badge read Maya. "Hey," Xavier said, crouching a little. "You always work this section." She looked up, startled. "Yeah, every shift lately. It's usually trashed by 11. "You're doing a great job," he said. She gave a half smile, then stood and brushed lint from her knees. "Thanks, I'm trying to keep up, but we've been short 2 people since last week. They cut hours." "Cut hours?" "Yeah," they said, "payroll's tight, so we're running with skeleton crews. Last Saturday, I was the only one on kidswear from open till 4. Her eyes flicked to a mirror mounted near the ceiling. "Shouldn't talk too long. Rita gets on me if I'm not moving." Xavier nodded slightly and stepped away. He didn't want to get her in trouble. He made his way to women's accessories, where a teenager in a headset was pretending to straighten belts, but was clearly watching a reality show on her phone. She didn't notice him standing there until he reached for the same belt she was leaning on. She sighed audibly and moved 2 steps to the left. "You on break?" Xavier asked, keeping his voice casual. "No, why?" "No reason, just looked like you were busy with something." She rolled her eyes. "I'm training, they stuck me here till shift end." Xavier walked away without another word. He passed by the fitting rooms, where a handwritten sign said, "Please ask for access at front desk." A couple stood nearby, holding a stack of clothes, looking confused. "Excuse me," the man said. "We've been waiting 10 minutes, no one's come." Xavier glanced around. No associate in sight. He walked back to the front and found Rita again. "There's a couple waiting for a fitting room." "I told Jalen to cover that," she muttered. "He's probably in the break room again." "I didn't see him on the floor," Xavier said. Rita exhaled sharply. "I'll get it." He followed her halfway back, watching as she flagged down another associate and barked instructions. Her voice stayed controlled, but her movements were clipped. As she walked past him again, Xavier said quietly, "You look like you're running this place alone." She stopped. "Feels like it. I'm pulling a double today because the opener called out, and I've got a conference call in 10, so no, it's not exactly smooth." He kept his tone neutral. "Corporate support you on that." Rita gave a dry laugh. "Corporate? They think a shift's a shift, doesn't matter if you're one person down or 3. He watched her go without pressing further. She was holding things together with tape and twine. Not ideal, but not malicious either. He wandered for another hour, making mental notes. Customers left without anyone speaking to them. The clearance sections were disorganized. Associates avoided eye contact, some openly killing time. Maya was the only one moving with purpose. Just past noon, Xavier drove 30 minutes south to Store 9. This store was smaller, tucked between a pet supply outlet and a shuttered sandwich shop. The lot was half empty. He stepped in and was hit by the scent of something burnt maybe from the break room microwave. The music was louder here, playing an old pop remix that distorted through the speakers. A tall, broad-shouldered man in his 50s stood near the entrance, arms crossed. His badge said Travis Manager. His posture was stiff, his eyes tracking customers like a security guard. As Xavier entered, Travis gave him a once-over but said nothing. In the footwear aisle, a young woman with short braids and chipped blue nail polish was organizing boxes. Her badge, Tasha. "Excuse me," Xavier said. "Do you have these in a size 10? She looked up startled. "Sorry, I'm not sure. Let me check the back." Within minutes, she returned with a box. "Here you go. Want to try them on?" He nodded. As she helped him, Travis appeared. "Tasha, you're not supposed to leave the aisle unattended." "I was just helping him find." "I don't care. You check your section before you go wandering. We've got people walking out with unpaid merch every week." Tasha lowered her voice. "I was just doing my job." "You do your job the way I tell you," Travis snapped. Xavier stood slowly. "She was helping me. I asked her to." Travis didn't even look at him. "Next time, wait till she pages someone." Tasha's eyes narrowed, but she didn't speak. After Travis walked off, Xavier said, "That happened a lot." She shrugged. "He acts like we're all trying to screw the place over, doesn't trust anyone." "You been here long?" "Almost a year, but I'm part-time, no benefits, no raise." "You deserve better," he said. She gave a bitter chuckle. "Tell him that." Xavier stayed for another 20 minutes observing. Travis barked orders, nitpicked displays, and ignored customers. When a group of teens came in, he followed them through the store, arms crossed, never greeting them once. At one point, he snapped at a new hire in front of a customer. "You fold like that again and you'll be back on carts." "Got it." The kid nodded quickly, face flushed. Xavier had seen enough. He stepped outside, took out his phone, and called corporate HR. "I need the regional director at Store 9 within the next hour, and I want a call with legal on standby." By the time he walked back in, he was no longer pretending. Travis was at the register, barking about a return policy to a confused shopper. Xavier stepped up beside him. "Step away from the register." Travis turned. "Who are you?" Xavier pulled off his cap. "Xavier Flint." Travis blinked. "You're." "Yes, and you're finished. Hand over your keys." Tasha, standing nearby, dropped a shoebox. Xavier turned to her. "We'll talk later." He looked back at Travis. "I won't tolerate intimidation, profiling, or public humiliation of staff. You're done here." Travis didn't speak, just handed over the keys. Xavier turned to the associate who had been scolded earlier. "You okay?" The kid nodded slowly. Xavier looked around at the shocked faces. "We're going to fix this, starting now." Xavier sat in the back office of Store 9, elbows resting on the cold metal desk, eyes fixed on the security monitor. The store floor was visible in grainy black and white. Tasha was assisting an older man near the clearance shoes, her posture calm and composed. A regional rep from HR sat beside him, clipboard in hand. Neither of them spoke. The silence was deliberate. Down the hall, Travis was packing his belongings from the manager's locker. The keys were already turned in. He hadn't argued. He hadn't apologized either. Xavier stood. "I want a full report on who he hired and who he pushed out over the last 12 months. Any patterns, age, race, scheduling bias, I want them documented. If anything's flagged, escalate it to legal." The HR rep nodded, understood. Xavier pulled open the door and stepped back out onto the sales floor. Tasha looked over once but didn't pause in her work. She was kneeling again, helping the customer tie a shoe. The older man said something a joke, likely, and she laughed, quick and genuine. There was no tension in her shoulders now. Xavier waited until she was done. "You handled yourself well," he said as she stood. "Didn't feel like it," she replied, tucking her hands into her pockets. "You didn't back down, that's rare." She studied him for a beat. "So what now? Are we just getting a new manager who acts the same way?" "No," Xavier said. "You're getting someone who understands the job starts with respect. I'll make sure of it." He nodded toward the break room. "Can you join me for a few minutes?" She followed him without hesitation. Inside, the small table against the wall was cluttered with old schedules, empty water bottles, and a box of broken plastic hangers. Xavier moved them aside. "You've been here almost a year," he said, sitting. "Has it always been like this?" "No. When I started, the manager before Travis, her name, was Alyssa, ran a tight ship, but she listened. She stepped in when things got busy. She knew which customers needed extra help. Then she transferred upstate. And Travis came next." Tasha nodded. "After that, everything got cold. He didn't talk to us unless it was to correct something, wouldn't let us play music in the break room, started locking the stockroom during open hours." "Why lock the stockroom?" He said it was about shrink, but really, it just slowed everyone down. Xavier leaned back. "Has he ever threatened anyone directly?" "No, but he didn't have to. The way he watched people, especially teens, especially anyone who looked off to him, it was enough." A silence settled. "Do you want to stay here, Tasha?" She blinked. "You mean, keep working at Store 9? "No, I mean, do you want to stay in this company?" She hesitated. "I didn't think I had a real future here." "You do now." He stood. "I'm arranging a transfer. Store 5 needs a floor lead. It's closer to where you live, and the manager there knows how to build people up. I'll get you enrolled in the leadership program, if you want it." Tasha's voice was quiet. "Yeah, I want it." "Good, you'll start next week." As Xavier left the office, he caught the tail end of a conversation between two associates in the stockroom. They were whispering, but not quietly enough. "I bet he's just here for show. nothing's gonna change. He stepped around the corner. Both froze. I understand the doubt, he said evenly. But I'm not here to make a show. I'm here to make this right. That starts with people. If you're here to work and treat customers with respect, you'll have my support. If not, this isn't the place for you. Neither answered. One nodded. Xavier didn't wait for more. He had another stop to make. Door 6. When he arrived, he didn't go in through the front. He entered through the employee door using a master code and stepped straight into the break room. Elliot was at the table, half a sandwich in hand, scrolling through his phone. He looked up startled. Can I help you? Xavier shut the door behind him. We need to talk. Elliot frowned. You're not supposed to be back here. I'm the founder. I don't need permission. The sandwich slowly lowered to the table. You're the guy from yesterday, Elliot said, eyes narrowing. You pretended to be a customer. I was a customer, and what I saw was enough to question whether you understand this job at all. Elliot stood. Look, I don't know what you think you saw, but I hit my numbers. My team hits their numbers. We move product. That's what matters, right? No, Xavier said. What matters is how you do it. You treated a customer like she was in the way. You mocked her to another employee. You ignored someone who stepped up to help. Elliot's jaw twitched. That's not fair. I've been here 3 years. I run this store better than anyone before me. Then explain why your employees look over their shoulders every time they speak. Explain why the only person who helped me yesterday was someone you've never once promoted. Elliot crossed his arms. You're making this personal. It is personal. You forgot who we serve. You made people feel like they didn't belong. That's not a management style, it's a failure of leadership. Elliot's expression shifted, the confidence faltering. I'll give you a choice, Xavier said. Step down voluntarily and I'll give you a neutral reference. Or I remove you today and we document everything. Elliot didn't answer right away. Then he nodded once. I'll clean out my locker. When Xavier stepped onto the sales floor, Chloe was folding scarves near the front fixture. She looked up as he approached, puzzled. You're back. He nodded. I need 5 minutes if you've got them. She set the scarf down and followed him to the side aisle near the dressing rooms. You've been here how long? He asked. Almost 1.5 years, started part-time, got full-time this spring. You ever apply for lead? Chloe shrugged. Twice, didn't get either. Who made the calls? Elliot. Xavier nodded. You're the new floor supervisor. Her eyes widened. Wait, what? Effective immediately. You've got the instincts. You step in when others don't. That's the kind of leadership we need. She blinked, then straightened. Thank you, I won't let you down. I know. He walked her back to the front, where Carmen was restocking gift cards. Her eyes followed them, uncertain. Xavier addressed her directly. You've been here how long? 2 years. Have you ever sat down with your previous manager about career development? She frowned. No, he didn't really do that. We will now. Chloe's stepping into a lead role. I expect you to support her. Carmen nodded slowly. Got it. Xavier turned to Chloe. You'll get training materials this afternoon, and you'll have direct contact with regional support while we find a new GM. What about the rest of the team? She asked. We'll rebuild, starting with culture. That's your focus. Sales will follow. She nodded. As Xavier exited the store, the automatic doors slid open with a hiss. The parking lot was half full, the sky beginning to darken with clouds. He got into his car and sat for a moment, watching a mother and her teenage son walk in, the boy pushing a stroller with a worn wheel. They paused at the door, checking a paper coupon. He watched as Chloe stepped forward from the counter, greeted them, and pointed them toward the children's section. No hesitation, no judgment. He turned the key in the ignition. There was still work to do, but today something had shifted, not just in policy but in people. And that's where change always starts. 3 weeks later, Xavier stood in the second-floor training room of the company's headquarters. The windows overlooked the main distribution center, where trucks were being loaded in tight coordination. He wasn't here to watch logistics. He was waiting for the final round of store reports to come and compiled data from every location he had visited, plus a few he hadn't. Not just numbers. Anonymous employee feedback, exit interviews, and customer satisfaction breakdowns. He didn't need to read them to know what they would say. He'd already seen the most telling version of the truth face to face. Still, he waited. The silence in the room gave him time to think. A knock came. It was Jenna from HR, her laptop tucked under one arm. She plugged it into the projector without a word and brought up the internal dashboard. 3 stores flagged red, 3 more yellow, she said. Store 9 is now green. Store 6 is trending that way. Store 3 is borderline but improving. Staffing levels. Still thin in a few locations. We're backfilling as fast as we can without lowering standards. He nodded once. Bring up the complaints from Store 3. She clicked through. A list appeared shorter than he expected. What changed? He asked. After your visit, Reader requested a staffing audit. We approved 2 new part-timers. She's been mentoring Maya to take over the kids' department fully. Jalen's been put on a performance plan. Let me guess, he's resisting. Barely. He's only staying because he knows he's being watched. Keep the leash tight, Xavier said. 1 more issue and he's gone. Jenna closed the laptop. We've scheduled a full leadership training rotation for all assistant managers. Rita's in the first cohort. He didn't respond right away. Then, good, she's got potential, but she's been holding that store together on grit. She needs structure behind her now. Jenna gave a small nod, then turned to leave. Xavier remained in the room, alone again. Later that afternoon, he pulled into the parking lot of Store 5. It was smaller, tucked into a more residential area, and always had a reputation for steady performance. Not exceptional, not chaotic, just steady. That used to be enough. He walked in without fanfare. A man in his 40s, with a neatly pressed shirt and a clipboard, looked up from a fixture reset near the front. His badge said Marcus GM. He recognized Xavier immediately but didn't panic, just straightened up and extended a hand. You checking in on Tasha? Marcus asked. Among other things. She's in the back, tagging new inventory. I'll call her out. No need, I'll go to her. The stockroom was cooler than expected, industrial fans humming in the corners. Tasha stood at a long table, sorting boxes and updating a log sheet. She wore a different energy now, not cautious, not guarded. Focused. She looked up when he entered. Didn't expect you today. I like seeing things before the dust settles, he said. She set her pen down. It's better, still busy but manageable. Marcus treating you right. He checks in without hovering. Let me set my own pace for the floor. He asked me questions about how we did it at 9, what worked, what didn't. First time anyone's asked. Xavier leaned against the edge of a shelf. You have a full team here. 4 part-timers and me. One of them's green, but she's quick to learn. You've been here 2 weeks, and they're already listening to you. They didn't have a reason not to. He folded his arms. You want to stay in operations or think about corporate eventually? Tasha didn't answer immediately. I don't know yet. I'm still learning what I'm capable of, but I want to keep growing. Then I'll make sure you have a path. He left her to her work, but the conversation stayed with him. The next morning, Xavier returned to store 6 just after opening. Chloe was walking the floor, clipboard in hand, adjusting a new display near the entrance. The store looked sharper, cleaner, not just in appearance but in energy. She noticed him and approached. "Didn't think I'd see you again this soon," she said. "You've made changes." Customers were ignoring the front table, so we moved clearance closer to the fitting rooms. It's been helping conversion. Carmen's handling the back half this morning. She's stronger with accessories. Xavier nodded. "How's the team responding to you?" Some pushback, not unexpected. One of the part-timers asked why someone so new was in charge. I told him I wasn't new, it just hadn't been seen. "What about the others?" "They're watching, some curious, some waiting to see if I last." "Are you?" She met his gaze. "I plan to." "Good, you'll be getting a mentor from corporate, someone who started in stores and moved up. She'll help you navigate the next 6 months. Use her." Chloe lowered her voice slightly. "I heard what happened to Elliot." Xavier didn't flinch. He had choices, he made the wrong ones. "I used to think people like him were just the cost of doing business. Now I know they're the reason customers stop coming." He gave a slow nod. "You'll be part of rewriting that." Before he left, Xavier took a slow walk through the store. A teenager was trying on sneakers in the back corner, helped by a young associate he didn't recognize. The associate was attentive, listening to the customer's awkward questions without rushing him. A woman near the fitting rooms was chatting with Carmen, who had a tape measure draped around her neck, helping her find the right size. No one avoided eye contact. No one was staring at their phone. He stepped outside into the sunlight and pulled out his phone. He opened a blank note and began typing. "New policy: all store leads must complete customer empathy workshops quarterly. All feedback channels must include a direct line to corporate, not just store management. Floor promotions will be based on initiative, not tenure." He stopped, then added, "No tolerance for mockery, ever." That night, back at headquarters, he met with the executive team. They were seated around the long table, laptops open, notebooks ready. This wasn't one of those ceremonial updates. This was full implementation. "We're restructuring the store bonus model," Xavier began. "No longer just based on sales. We're factoring in customer experience and staff retention. High turnover, no bonus. Verified customer neglect, no bonus." One of the VPs raised an eyebrow. "Won't that slow down sales in the short term?" "No," Xavier said. "It'll force people to understand what drives them long term." Another exec leaned forward. "And the managers who don't like it? They can leave. We're no longer rewarding numbers that come at the cost of dignity." There were no further objections. By the end of the week, every store had received the new guidelines. Supervisors were granted direct hotlines to regional leadership. Promotions froze temporarily while all managers were retrained. Associates were given anonymous surveys to rate their leadership, and those numbers were tied to performance reviews. Chloe sent a message up the chain. "It feels like a different company." Tasha forwarded a photo of her team resetting a display with a caption, "We're building something better." Xavier didn't respond. He didn't need to. The message was already clear. He hadn't gone undercover to catch people slipping. He'd gone to remember who the company was built for and make sure it never forgot again.